Peace. What's up? This is Yo, aka Mama Yo, and I just wanted to share this video because I'm going to start my journey back into creativity. I was talking to the firstborn, last night on my way to work. I just got off of work, so I'm making short and sweet. And I was telling him how I was worried about how I was going to get back into the creative community. And he was like, "What are you afraid of?" And I was like, "Well, in the past, people have stolen my work. I had to deal with jealousy, people saying, 'Who does she think she is?' And it was discouraging when you see people steal your work, and because they have money and power, they can, and if you put your things on the internet, it's like the wild wild west. It's a free-for-all. Somebody can spin it and make it their own. I'm not even going to go through the list of things that I know I created over the years that has become trends. I know it for a fact. So Quentin is the great motivator. If second born Quaimani is the great debater, Quentin is the great motivator. And he always has the right thing to say. Shout out to Into the Quniverse, their podcast for everything gaming, geeky, and nerdy. Check it out every Sunday, Into the Quniverse. Okay. So back to what he was saying, and I was like, just like with my activism, I saw that a lot of people like my ideas. They knew that I love the community, and I want to make a change and a difference. But because I didn't have the certain plugs, or I run in certain circles, I would get overlooked. So it's been discouraging over the past couple of years. That's why I haven't moved forward with any of my projects. But right now, I know that the Most High gave me the gift of creativity, and I have to do it, or I'm going to be miserable for the rest of my life if I don't even try to bring it to life outside my head, out my little sketch journal book, and into the world for other people to enjoy, observe, analyze, talk about. So just to give you a little background, I was born Yonai Ziegler. A lot of people know me as Yoni growing up, but that's not how my name pronounced. My parents said it's pronounced Yonai. I started creative writing, I think, in like third grade. That's when I started to sketch. That's when I started to really be creative, and I went to Samuel Gumper's Fine Arts Academy, where I was in a gifted program, and I really loved to write. So I would write poems, and that's when I started to draw, and that's when my creative side really took off. So I went to Percy L. Julian my freshman year of high school, and I remember my English teacher, Miss Anderson. I got pregnant with Quentin my sophomore year, and she was telling me how my life was over and how I was not going to be anything. And a little voice in my head was like, she don't know what she's talking about. You're going to be a famous filmmaker, and you're going to show everybody what a young woman from the south side of Chicago can do. And that just clicked in my head, that I'm going to be a filmmaker. And some of my favorite directors, Spike Lee, but as I got older, now my age, his films from back in the day, his films now, I haven't really watched. So I really don't know Quentin Tarantino, and now finding out he's a little disrespectful towards women. Um, Miss Dash, who directed Daughters of the Dust, that's a great film. Well, I'm just was into film, period. And I ended up going to the School for Pregnant Teens Arts of Living. And that's where I wrote my first book. It was an assignment. You write a book to your child. And I wrote a book for Quentin. And it was called Homegirl Learns Her ABCs. And it was about this brother. He had to watch his little sister, and he made up a rap teaching her about her ABCs. I even sent it to the Third World Press in Chicago. If you know, shout out to Third World Press. I did send them my manuscript, and then they said at that time there was no like category for the book because it was like a hip hop ABC book. Now, I mean, that's normal these days. But back in the early mid 90s, when hip hop was more like controversial within the black community, a lot of older black people didn't like rap music and hip hop. They really didn't want to have a rapping ABC book back then. So I ended up going to alternative high school after I had Quentin Olive Harvey Middle College, where I excelled in my creativity, my creative writing. Used to do graffiti back then. I learned how to do radio, was doing choreography, just in the whole young creative scene in Chicago in the 90s, which was really, really strong. It was really underground. A lot of people don't know about that, but if you are from Chicago, you grew up in the 90s, you know that we had a very deep creative scene back then. I'm the first and only black teen to write movie reviews for the Chicago Tribune. They ended the program, a contest the year that I won. Controversy behind that, but that's a story for another time. I'm just trying to tell you about my life and creativity. Graduated high school, applied for Gallery 37. It was a summer job program where you was an artist apprentice, but you had to take your portfolio up downtown, stand in a long, long line, y'all. And then they had to judge your artwork or your writing, and then they chose if you were going to be part of this program. Get paid. My first paid job was in the arts. Yeah. So that was great. Produced youth summits for my high school after I graduated. Came back, did a youth summit. That's when I started writing songs around 18. That's when I started writing songs. Just writing scripts, just being creative, and living in an urban area, which I love living in an urban area. I think black people are so unique. We're so resilient. We're so beautiful. We're so soulful. We're so fun, and we cannot lose that part of ourselves within all of the violence and tragedy and the things that is amplified by the media. Yes, we do have to address that, but let's not lose our core, our soul, our sass, our fun, our deeply rooted spirituality. I'm not saying religious, but I'm saying like knowing the Most High God for ourselves and having a personal relationship with the Most High. And so I writing, working, dealing with manic depression. So I really wasn't a loner. When I used to disappear is because I was going through bouts of depression and probably had laying in bed, only could get up to take care of the kids and go lay back in the bed. That's basically what I was doing. So if anybody was wondering when I used to disappear, that's why. And I've always just been creative from then. I went to college so many times and dropped out due to my depression, due to me feeling that I wasn't good enough, even though everybody was telling me you are a dope writer, dope designer. You're dope at it, but I wanted some validation that I didn't get. But I was young. You young, you want validation. That's your youth. You want people to see that you are growing and you are growing. You want people to see that when you are young. So now I don't even feel bad for wanting my family support and validation. That's how you help your family just thrive. You should be happy for them. You should not be jealous. And so yeah, that. Went back to film school. Went to the Art Institute in Chicago. And basically, they was like, why are you here? Why you're not out making stuff and making money? Why are you here? It's like kids go to art school because they trying to find out what they want to do creatively. You got it. You already know. So just do it. So grow up. You growing up. You doing what you got to do. Take care of your kids. By the time I went to Art Institute, I had 3 kids. You know, so I ended up being in a horrific situation for some years. Got out of that thing by the grace of God. Moved out of Chicago. Moved to the South. Georgia 4 years, which was that was horrible time in my life. My dad passed. Knew he was gonna pass. He had lung cancer. He was in hospice. And then suddenly my mom passed. My rock, my baby. I love her. And I don't care what anybody have heard or think they know. I love my mama. She is in me. I carry her with me every day. Maddie Mae, love her. That's my baby. I miss her so much. I always, everything I did to a point of excellence was to make her proud. Regardless of what anybody say, even if sometimes my creativity be controversial or make people feel uncomfortable, it was never to disrespect my mother. And she knew that before she passed. And I wrote this bomb play and somebody stole it in their car knowing it wasn't theirs. Glad it ain't never come out. But that's what I get. Because to me, I'm happy for other people that do great things. That don't mean that they going to be happy for you. So sometimes you got to just not say nothing. Not do nothing. And work on what you got to do. Okay. So then I came to Memphis. Which I really didn't want to come back to Memphis. I had moved to Memphis when I was 21. Brought the boys down here. Was down here for a bit, then my aunt passed away, and I moved back to Chicago. So I never wanted to come back to Memphis. Found out we had a family church, never knew about that. So I was having, going through a spiritual awakening when I was in Georgia, like really just trying, especially after my parents died, that's why I went natural with my hair, trying to just figure out who I was and what the type of woman that I wanted to be and the type of woman that I wanted to show to the world. Unapologetic. And that's when I got back into activism, BLM, Black Lives Matter, the whole Black feminist movement. When people say, oh, feminists, they hate men, whatever. Black feminism is not about that. It's about Black women defining who they are based on enslavement, genocide, Black womanhood, the struggles of a Black woman and how they interpret that, not how men, white, Black, Puerto Rican, Haitian, whatever, Asian, not how they interpret how a Black woman is, but how we interpret ourselves. It has nothing to do with white feminism, wanting to be equal to a man and want to have the same power to do what some men do that are corrupt. No, that's not what Black feminism is, but that is another story for another day also. So I wrote a couple, worked with the youth at church, wrote a couple plays at church that were very successful. But it seemed like when I started to want to do my own thing, I don't get that much support. But I want to shout out all the people who have supported me over the years and have encouraged me and have collabed with me. You know who you are. That's for another story for another day for me to go ahead out there. But oh my God, I've been talking for 15 minutes. Who want to watch my 15-minute video? So nobody want to watch no damn 15-minute video.